Okay, today we are going to review slope and do a little bit with slope-intercept form and graphing some equations. So we're going to start with just slope, which you can go back and look at your 5-1 notes. So some of you might be able to skip this video if looking at your 5-1 notes is enough help. But if not, then watch the video and it will help you with the first IXL. So we first want to remind ourselves about how to find slope from a graph. So slope from a graph, remember, you can just use rise over run. Okay, so you want to count how many from one point to another on the line, how many do you rise and how many do you run. And you want to pay attention to the direction of your graph. Okay, if your graph looks something like this, your slope should be positive, because you rise up and you run right. Both are positive. If, however, your graph looks something like this, your slope should be negative, because you are going down and right, and down makes it negative. Okay, down and right is negative, or it's going up and left, which is negative because of the left. So if we look at our graphs, I've got two examples here. You just need to calculate your rise over your run. But in order to do that, you need to find 2 points on your line first. So if we look at the one over here on the left side, we're going to find 2 points, any 2 points that are on the line that cross at nice places. So if I look at this point right here, this is not crossing at a nice intersection. I don't know what those values are. That's not helpful. Okay, so I want to look something more like this point right here. That was kind of a bad circle. Let me fix that. Okay, that point right there is a good point to look at. Okay, and then you want to find another one. Well, I see another one right here. Okay, there are lots of them. There's another one here, another one here, there's another one down here. You can use any of those, but you need 2 points. So we're just going to stick with, we're going to stick with the 2 that I originally had. Moving my graphs. So what you do is you just count, well, how many do you rise and how many do you run? So if I look at my graph, I rise 2. And how many do I run? I run 1. So my slope, remember, is m, is 2 over 1. It should be positive because this is a positive direction line. And you want to reduce it if possible. Remember, 2 over 1 reduces to just 2. So your slope of that first graph here on the left should be 2. Now if we come over and look at the one on the right, same thing, we need to find 2 points that are on your graph. So once again, we can look at any 2. I see one right here, and I see another one right here. There are a couple of others you could have used, so don't think that those are the only ones that you could pick, but those are 2 that I saw, so we're going to use those ones. So we're going to look to see, once again, our rise and our run. I rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I run -3. Now I said -3 because I went to the left, but I said positive for my rise because I went up. Okay, so positive here, but negative here. So my rise over my run is 6 over -3. You want to reduce that or divide, which gives you -2. Okay, so your slope is -2, which makes sense for our slope to be negative because this line is a negative direction line. It is going down and right or up and left. Okay, so your slope is -2. All right, now we're going to talk about slope from 2 points. Okay, slope has a formula that you learned in 5-1. Said m equals y minus y over x minus x. Okay, so that's all we need to do is use that formula with our points. You want to make sure you remember which one is x and which one is y. Remember, x always comes first in your coordinate point. So we need to put the y values on top. So we're going to take our y values and we're going to subtract. So we're going to do 4 minus 3. over, and then you're going to take your x values in the bottom, you're going to take them in the same order, and you're going to subtract those. I'm going to do 2 minus 4. So I started at 4 and went to 3. I started at 2 and went to 4. You need to go in the same order when you do your subtraction. So 4 minus 3 gives me 1. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. You would want to divide or reduce if possible, but in this case you can't. So there is your slope, negative 1 over 2 or 1 over negative 2. Either answer is the same. They mean the same thing. Either answer. Next example. So we need to start with our y's, and we need to go to where our x is. Okay, so we're going to start with our y. We're going to subtract 3 minus 9. Then we're going to use our x's in the same order, 3 minus 7. And then you can do your subtraction and then you're simplifying. So 3 minus 9 is negative 6. 3 minus 7 is negative 4. This one will reduce. First of all, I've got two negatives. Two negatives make a positive, so my answer is actually going to be positive. But then 6 over 4 can also reduce. And remember, you can pull up Desmos to help you reduce that if you don't know how to on your own. Okay, you can just type it in the calculator and press your fraction button and it will reduce it on for you. But in this case, we get 3 over 2 and should be positive, okay, because your two negatives cancel out, make a positive. You do want to pay attention to negative signs in your points. So I didn't have an example here, but real quick, let me off to the side. We won't run through this all the way, but let's say we had the points 3, 5, and 2, negative 4. So we're going to take our y's and we're going to subtract, which means I have 5 minus negative 4, okay? Because the formula says, right here, y minus the y value and x minus the x value. So y minus the other y value. And then underneath, I would do the same thing, but 3 minus 2, I don't have any negatives to deal with. And then you could finish that up if you wanted to for an example. The last one should be the easiest one of all three, slope from an equation. So I believe your IXL sticks to slope-intercept form, which if you recall is y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope. So that means whatever number is in front of x is your slope. Okay, so in this first example, the number in front of x means my slope is negative 3. The number in front of x means my slope is 4 over 5. Two quick possible things that you could see in your IXLs at some point. Recall if you don't have a number in front of x, there's an imaginary 1, so m here would be 1. Also, if you were to have something like just y equals 7, your slope is the number in front of x. There is no x, which means there is no slope. Okay, your slope would be 0.